Hello, my name is Denise Stanley from Real Estate Consulting Solutions, and I've been asked by one agency to prepare just a small little video on what some of the changes to licensing and how it can impact on you and your staff. The reforms commenced on the 23rd of March 2020, and at that particular time we saw the introduction of 3 new license levels. The certificate of registration, which was the person that was probably just working in your agency or maybe had been working in the agency for a few years, has now gone to what is known as an assistant agent. This means that they are no longer able to sign agency agreements. That is a management agreement or a sales agreement. The Class 2 license holder was previously someone that was either the licensee in charge or held a full license. They have now been given the Class 2 license level. And the Class 1 license level has now been the person who is a licensed agent or a licensee in charge of the business. The problems that we've actually seen with the changeover to licenses is that some Class 2 agents are actually still sitting as a Class 2 even though they should be a Class 1. So let me show you what I mean. The property services license check is something that you should actually be doing immediately, especially if you are the licensee in charge. When you come into this section, you need to go down to where it has property, and then you need to type in your legal name. This is the name that you are known of as fair trading. So in this particular case, you can see that I hold a Class 1 agent license. The date of my Class 1 agent license wasn't issued until the 16th of July, even though I previously held a full license since 2016. This was an administration error by Fair Trading. However, if I did not request to change from the Class 2 to a Class 1 by the 22nd of March 2021, I would have been left on a Class 2 agent license. So let me show you someone who is actually sitting on a Class 2 agent license, which has actually held a full license since 1979. So yes, you may recognise the name Paul Davies. Paul has not been moved over to the Class 1. He has been sitting on a Class 2 agent license. And you can see that this all took on the 23rd of March, and here is his original license. Now, because he has not actually advised them, if Paul does nothing before the 23rd of March next year, 2021, then he will sit on a Class 2 agent license. That means that for him to progress to a Class 1, which is a licensee in charge, he will have to complete a diploma in real estate. Not only that, he will also have to complete work experience logbook, and he will have to complete the required tasks in the logbook. Now, how did that all happen? Well, it was the introduction of the new qualification. I require everybody to seriously look at what type of license they hold and do so urgently. It should be a #1 priority. And the reason being is, if you are listed as a Class 2 agent, then you are not acting as a licensee in charge in your business in accordance with fair trading records. For those people that aren't actually the licensee in charge, but have held a Class 2 agent license, this is the transitional pathway that you have. Now, this is a very small window of opportunity for you to move from a Class 2 agent to a Class 1 agent before the 22nd of March 2021. So let me help you to understand what you need to do. #1, this is a section of the legislation that it is under, Property and Stock Agents Qualification, Part 2, Class 1 licenses. And what we're looking at is the transitional provision for former license holders. Now, this is for anyone that held a Class 2. To move to the Class 1, you must follow these instructions. Holds a Class 2 agent license with the relevant restriction condition and applies for the Class 1 agent license with the relevant restriction condition within 12 months after the commencement day. Now, just remember, the commencement day was the 23rd of March 2020. And immediately before commencement day, held a real estate agent's license for at least 2 years, or held a real estate agent's license and carried on business under the license, or was employed to be the person in charge of the business carried on under a real estate agent's license at a place of business. So in this particular case, if you ever assisted in carrying on the business, or you were employed to be the person in charge, being a licensee of that business, then you can actually apply for the Class 1 if they haven't given it to you so far. Now, for this particular case, if you held it for 2 years, that was prior to the 23rd of March 2020, you too can apply. So how do you apply? Contact me for more instructions, because it really does depend on your circumstance. So if you held an ABN, there is also an opportunity where you may meet this requirement, which means you don't have to have held it for 2 years. So please make contact with me so I can help you to understand what these changes are and what it means for you and your staff. Now remember, you only need to have one Class 1 licensee in charge. But what will you do if you get sick or are incapable of performing your duties? I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you very much.